Welcome to the J. Will Podcast. This podcast is for informational purposes and should not be considered a legal, health, or tax advice of any kind. If you would like to donate to the J. Will Podcast, locate the donate feature on the rss.com homepage or via Cash App at $J. Will Podcast. Now, here's your host, J. Will.
Oh, what's going on? What's going on? It's your boy, J. Will, your host of the J. Will Podcast. Listen, won't you hit me up, leewillj at gmail.com. Leewill, at gmail.com. And if you haven't done so already, I need you to go to your app, your mobile app, and type in to your app store and type in the live365.com and download that, and then type in J. Will Gospel Radio. You can listen to gospel music 24/7, 7 days a week, all over the world. And if you're a musician or you have gospel music you want to submit, you can do that. Send me a master MP3 photo and a short bio to leewillj at gmail.com, and I'll listen to it, and I'll get back with you as soon as time permits. All right, ladies and gentlemen, homies and homettes, cats and dogs, squirrels and rabbits, I have in the virtual studio with me today one of the most favorite people I have in the world, Mr. Chris Crain. How you doing, sir?
Man, I am great, man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm good, man. It's good to have you on, man.
Yeah.
It's always good to talk to you. Always good to see your smiling face. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know it, there's gonna be some real personal information disclosed about me and Chris a little later on, but we ain't gonna let the cat out the bag right yet. All right. So, Chris Crain, again, man, I'm glad to have you on. I know you got a busy schedule. I know you're ripping and running, doing all kinds of things. But you took out the time to sit in with me today for this podcast interview. And we're gonna be talking about an upcoming publication that you're gonna be doing. But we want to start here first. We want the people to get to know you. Where you from, sir?
Man, so I like to say I'm born in Chicago, raised in Mississippi, now residing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Man. So you like Johnny Cash?
A little bit.
You've been everywhere, man. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have comments, be sure and type those in the comment section. If you have a question for Mr. Chris Crain, I will see them. And if your question is appropriate, I'm gonna ask. I ain't gonna ask nothing crazy now. So you got to be right. So how long have you been in Milwaukee?
I've been in Milwaukee, man, for 20 years. I got here in 2006.
Has it been that long?
It's been a long time. 20 years. 2006. I'll never forget it. I was living in Evansville, Indiana, and I left Evansville driving to Milwaukee in February. And I ran into a snowstorm right around on 57 going north, right around Champaign, Illinois. And I'll never forget it, man. I started to turn around at least 6 times. Man, the snow was flying sideways. I'll never forget it, man. 2006, February, I made my trek to Milwaukee from Evansville, Indiana. Been here.
So how is it, I know you grew up, you was born in Chicago.
Yes.
On the west side, matter of fact. Moved to Mississippi. You moved to Evansville. How was the transitional experience moving from all 3 areas?
By the time I'll say it this way. It wasn't bad because there's a term, walking into a room warm. And so when I left Mississippi, I went to Evansville, Indiana, but I already had a connection there. So the transition wasn't so bad. Now, the weather was different, but when you have somebody there that can welcome you, that can kind of set the table for you when you get there, made it a whole lot easier for me.
Yeah. So I understand that you're a songwriter, an author, a new author, by the way. Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but let's talk about your music for just a second, if you don't mind.
Okay.
How long have you been recording music?
I started recording. I recorded my first record. I was a freshman in high school.
Really?
Freshman in high school. Yep. I did a record an album with this group I had, the Sons of Zion, and man, we did a whole lot of stuff, man. Matter of fact, shout out to the Sons of Zion. We just sang together for the first time in over 20 years.
Wow.
And it was the first time we had been in the room together. We sung all through high school. Now we are almost 50. And so we got together one more time a couple months ago, last month in April 18th, to be exact. And we sang together. So we did an album, and we did about 6 songs. And that's when I started recording.
Yeah. So not only are you you have several albums of your own recently, and you have a new release that just came out not too long ago, right?
Yeah, last August. No, last June. Album called Dreams.
Yeah. So you work with some pretty big people. I actually have one of your songs uploaded to my station. The song you did with Mark Kibble.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Y'all need to check that song out, man.
Better.
Yeah. So I gotta ask this question, man. How was it working with now? Those of y'all don't know who Mark Kibble is, y'all need to look him up. How was it like working with the legendary Mark Kibble, man?
But it was easy. And the way it came about, we have a mutual friend that lives in Nashville. They both live in Tennessee. And I was talking to my friend, his name is Roger Ryan, and he was just asking me a whole lot of questions. And I was telling him one of my goals, one of my bucket list agendas would be to do a song with Take 6 or Mark Kibble. I told him how much I loved Mark, and he started laughing. And he said, "Really?" I said, "What's funny?" He was like, "Me and Mark used to be roommates." And he grabbed his phone and did a text connection, a text thread between me, him, and Mark, and introduced me to Mark. And we talked, and just like that, man, Mark was like, "Cool, send it to me."
Wow.
Send him the music, and what was crazy, he was out. It was Take 6 in the Manhattan Transfer. They was out on tour. And he said, "Once we get back into the States, I'll knock it out." And he called me once he got back. Boom. Knock it out.
Man,
just like that.
That is crazy.
Yeah, he ain't do it for free, but he did it. And he charged me heavy, but he did it, and it was great to even I mix my own records. So I remember very vividly, man, sitting in this same studio that I'm in right now, and I was mixing this record, and the tears just started to fall because I realized what I really was doing, you know, and it taught me a valuable lesson to stop and enjoy your moments. There's been a lot of times I just didn't enjoy the moments for whatever reason, right? But in that moment, I stopped. And like I said, the tears was flowing. I was like, "Yo, I'm on a record with Mark Kibble." I've been listening to this guy, man, and I love everything that he does. So, yeah, it was great, man.
And just in case y'all didn't know it, Mark Kibble and Take 6 sounds just as good live as they do on the album.
Man, yes, they do.
Now, and I don't want to take anything away from you. Your sound is very unique and it's original, and it fits you, and you sound just as good live as you do on the album.
Well, I try. Well, that's the goal,
I'm sure it takes a lot of rehearsal to do that but I mean, you work with a lot of different musicians and singers. How hard is it getting those singers to get on the same page and feel the same vibe that you're feeling?
A couple things, right? Before, I used to be very rigid in what I wanted, how I wanted it. Play it like this, sing it like this, play it like that, play it like this, sing it like this, and I would get it, right? It takes a lot of massaging, egos and all of that before I get them in the studio and chop their heads off and doing that. But then I grew up, right? And I matured, and I started hiring and collaborating with people who I didn't have to coach. There's a huge difference. So when you send it to, say, Mark Hibble, when I send the record to Mark Hibble, I'm not going to tell Mark what to do. Even though I hear something in my head, you bring in the outside ideas for the outside ideas. You bring them in to bring to the table what they have. And I learned how to work within those parameters. You know, you only hire the people who I don't have to tell what to do.
I mean, it makes pretty good sense to
bring
me.
something to the table, and then after that, you end up with a product that can reach a various group of people. You know, reach the masses, because now you have different ideas, different sounds, different thoughts that are not just yours, and you end up with a pot of gumbo, man. That tastes amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I don't think you're, implying that it's bad to have everything directed from your perspective, but sometimes you just need some outside influences to give you a little bit different perspective so that everything doesn't kind of sound the same.
Yeah, well, yeah, it sounds like you. Like, so if I'm the only one on the record, and sometimes I want it that way.
Right,
and I
right.
create what I want. But adding other people who are on level or even above your level, it just gives it a level of maturity that comes. It's like you remember what was it? The Transformers, how they would connect with each other and build a big joint, as opposed to Bumblebee that's been there fighting by itself, but once they connected, now you got this big old massive thing that couldn't have happened unless you brought the pieces together, man.
That sounds pretty cool. So
Yeah.
how many albums have you done?
Oh man, I think maybe 6, 7.
Man, it just seems like a whole lot more than that, though.
You
do jazz, you do jazz as well. So you had a few jazz albums, a few jazz singles. I remember one of the songs when I first started getting into radio. I was doing a gospel show on on K Breeze's station, and my very first show, I played one of your jazz cuts, "Ain't No Sunshine." And I got in trouble about that, but I had to do it. You know what I'm saying? Dude hit me up. He was like, WKCBFM.com. He hit me up. He was like, "Hey, Jay Will, this is not gospel, right?" I said, "Yeah, I know. I just had to do it, man. I had to do it." I said, "You can make it gospel. Ain't no sunshine when Jesus is gone."
they do it all the time, don't they?
They do it all the time. They do it all the time. Can you remember the first song you wrote?
There was a song called "We Come to Praise You." We come to praise, and I did that song with the Voices of Deliverance. That was my first record that I wrote, and I tell you a funny story about that.
Yeah.
We was preparing for our recording, and Orlando Draper came. He was friends with a guy named Michael Walters, and Orlando was in our rehearsal, and we was practicing that song, and I tell you the truth, when Orlando Draper's record came out, you'll find that same song, the same patterns, the same lyrics, pretty much the same music on his album.
Man, that's crazy.
Yep. We come to lift him up on the mountain high.
Really?
Low. Gotta praise the Lord.
I remember that song.
Wherever I go. Bro, that was my record.
Man, bro.
So when we talk about my first record, that was my first record that I wrote.
Man, you just got to be careful who you let in your rehearsal, man.
Well, I mean, I didn't, of course, I was, 14?
Yeah.
And he took that record, man, and of course, I don't talk about that, and I ain't trying to make a deal about it. I mean, I was a kid, but that was my first record, and we was getting ready to record that record.
Man, that's
Matter of fact,
crazy.
we did record that record out in Wiggins. I think that's where the church was. Um, yeah,
Man,
my first song.
that's crazy. So if the people want to find your music, how can they find your music?
Well, you can find Chris Crain everywhere. You just search Chris Crain, ChrisCrain. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal. But you'll do better if you go to my website. That's Chris Crain, the number one music.com. Again, that's Chris Crain, the number one music.com. You can find out a whole lot more about me, the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm connected to. I might even have some merch on there. And I release there first. And then
Okay.
there's some music on my website that you won't find on iTunes or Spotify. So I started archiving. I record all of my rehearsals. And those rehearsals are on my website. You can download my rehearsals. It's called The Rehearsal.
Really?
It's over an hour, maybe 2 hours worth of rehearsal footage.
Man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you're also a very accomplished musician. I don't know if everybody knew this, but Chris can play. So when Chris was young, I want to say young, like, I don't know, 10, 11, Chris was one of the most impeccable drummers you would ever hear play drums. I mean, you used to kill that kit, man. And I used to sit back and watch you play. I'd be like, man, this is phenomenal, man. Just your thought process into the rhythmic side of music was just, it blew my mind. But then you started playing, picking up keys. And then you was playing drums and keys, and then you started picking up guitar. So was it just in your nature to just learn more of this stuff, or you just found it fascinating and challenging and you wanted to try to just jump into it?
I mean, kind of both, right? There's certain instruments that make certain sounds and that tell a different story. You can have the same song, but you'll have the bass would tell a different side of that story. All right. And the drums would tell its own version. And you got keys and guitar. And they all interest me. And even to this day, I still play keys a lot, of course, on a lot of my shows and records and still at church. But I spend more time playing the guitar, practicing my guitar, because it's a language and it's a voice that it's another way for me to share my voice and my perspective with the world. And I'm working tirelessly, man. I touch that thing every day, man.
Yeah.
And I even sleep with it sometimes.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, he ain't lying. When he first came on, he walked up in front of the camera with his guitar, and I said, "Hey, man, you gonna play a song?" Oh, he said, "No, man. I figured we had a little time, so I do a little something." So he was playing the guitar, sitting down in the seat.
Yeah, man. When I see it, I gotta touch it, man.
Hey, man, that's pretty awesome. So, I don't know. A lot of people didn't know this, but as a young person, young drummer, I don't know, probably 13, 14 years old, you got the opportunity to play drums for a couple of big choirs in Mississippi, didn't you?
Yeah. And that, I tell you, one of my most memorable times, there was a group called the Watts Sisters.
Yeah.
And Carol Watts and Andre Watts he played guitar. His brother Al played, they brought me in to play drums on that recording.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that, because that was my first time actually being brought in. And I was 15, maybe 16. And the rehearsals was really life-changing, just being in that environment of having to structure something and play it with a group of other people, and to fit all of my ideas inside of this box per se, and then having to really play my part. I had a very vital part. Keep the rhythm, keep the tempo, and keep it moving. Set up the changes. And now some of the terminology that I know now, I didn't know what it was back then. I didn't know what to call it. I knew what it felt like.
Yeah.
But that was one of my most memorable times, man. And I'll never forget, man, people was buying that album, that CD, and people would be talking about me. And I would go to different churches, um, and I would hear drummers playing my licks. And the little thing that I brought up, and I would see drummers playing like me to the side, because my with my left arm, my birth defect, I couldn't sit up straight, so I had to lean into it and play the snare in a hi-hat a certain kind of way. So I created this little rock with it, but what people didn't know, I was doing that because I was somewhat embarrassed that I couldn't reach, and so I created a way for me to look cool in my mind. So
Yeah.
I had this little rock and I was playing, hitting that snare, but I needed to lean in because the little arm wouldn't reach to the
Yeah.
snare like I needed to. So I'll never get that time, man. That was a great memory.
So you're also, well, I guess that taught you how to have a structured rehearsal and what to identify with people playing their parts with a band. And
Yeah,
so that life-changing skill at that young age help you prepare for what you're doing now.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah.
that's pretty cool stuff, man. It's funny how stuff just kind of works out, and we always end up with what we need to help us to progress to the next level.
That's a fact. That's a
Man, that's
fact.
cool stuff. That's cool stuff. So, um, any other of your family members play instruments besides yourself?
Yeah, well, man, my big brother plays. He actually is responsible for me.
See,
learn-
we wasn't even going there, man. We didn't have to go there.
Okay, well, I mean, we're gonna talk about the book, because this is what the book is about. I tell all of these stories in the book, but my older brother played. My middle brother, rest in peace, big dog.
Yep.
He played saxophone. My sister, also KC, rest in peace. I remember um, one moment of her playing clarinet,
Yep.
and then my baby sister, she don't do nothing, but she don't play no instruments.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, my whole family. My dad, he taught me my first song we had a little organ in the house, and I'll never forget. I can still see his long, skinny fingers. He was playing "Sentimental Journey."
Sentimental Journey.
Da, 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 ba, da, 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 ba, da, da.
Yeah,
And that's
man.
all he knew. Da, 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 da. That's all he knew. But I remember him showing me that. And my mom was the rock. She played, she sang. I found out years later that she was a part of a singing group. They used to go sing on the radio.
Yep.
They did a recording. I found out all of this stuff years later. And of course, she never talked about it, but she used to sing around. A few times she would take me to plays. She would go. She was a special guest, and she would be singing. So yeah,
Your grandmother was a singer.
yeah. I heard that she was a singer. I remember she sang. Now, what I remember about my grandmother, we called her Miss Top, but what I remember about Miss Top was she used to sing, "I can go to God in prayer.
Yes, sir.
Make no difference what the problem." That was her record. Yeah,
That was her rock right there, man.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
that's crazy. So your son is playing piano.
Yeah, that kid is playing everything. He's special. He's really special. He has perfect pitch. He can hear it, and he know what key it's in. He can. He also picked up the guitar. He's singing a lot now.
Wow.
And he has the gift. At one point, I was pressing him to take lessons, and then I stopped because it felt like work for him. I could tell. So now just kind of let him do his things. I made him learn giant steps the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I made him sit down, and I got a YouTube video, and I said, "You learn this," and he learned it. But he said, "Dad, it's just chords. They don't make any sense." I said, "Yeah, you'll figure it out later." But every so often, I push him to do some stuff. But yeah, he's incredible. And my daughter's incredible too. She can sing a little butt off, but I don't push music on them.
Yeah, it just comes natural.
Yeah, I just want them to be kids, and they'll climb into it, if it's what they're supposed to climb into. Music is a hard life. The amount of no's and no responses that I get on a weekly basis as I continue to build my plane and fly it at the same time, it's enough to give anybody PTSD.
Yeah.
It's not natural, man.
So, do you think that there is a genetic influence on being musically inclined?
I think so. I think genetics play a lot in everything. I mean, just look at LeBron James, or look at some of the other NBA players. They are tall. Genetically, there's something there. They have the athleticism. And so you look at their offspring, they were 6'7". Now their son is 6'9".
Yeah.
6'5", 6'4". I mean, so I think so. I think I think it's a certain part of the brain that develops. Just like we got the same feet, same hands. I think there's something, chemically inside of us that connects us as well.
Man, that's pretty awesome. So, last question about your music, and then we're going to move on. Do you have any upcoming performances that you're getting ready to do in anywhere in the world? I mean, because you'd be all over the place, man. I'll talk to you one morning, be like, oh, man, I missed your call, B. I'm in L.A. or I'm in Texas. You got any upcoming events?
Yeah, I got a few things coming up on the 4th of this month. On the 4th of June, my shows actually start. I'm playing a gala here. Aurora Healthcare, big health providing company here in the Midwest. And so they brought me in as their guest performer. So that's June 4th. On the 7th, I got my book release called The Book and the Concert. We'll talk about that shortly. I actually just got a call about a show on the 13th. I don't know if I'm going to take it or not, or if it's going to go through. Then on the 18th, I'm in Evanston, Illinois, at A&C Electric for the Juneteenth celebration. And then on June 19th, I'm here in Milwaukee at Summerfest. Wow. And I'll be open. That's actually Juneteenth. And I tell you what's really cool about that show. So there's a lady, I met her 6-7 years ago. Maybe 8 years ago, right? CJ was 2 years old. And her name is Carol Haywood. Now, Carol Haywood is a very well put together woman. She's an opera singer, very disciplined. And she moved to the Midwest in 1959 or something like that. And she's done a lot. She was the first African American to get a residency in Milwaukee at an opera house.
Wow.
And she describes it as they didn't do that. Blacks didn't get those opportunities. She was the first one to break through. So Juneteenth, she's actually going to open up that show with me, open up that set on the big stage with me, and as my part of honoring history and doing my own little Juneteenth celebration.
Yeah.
We're going to sing, lift her voice and sing together, man. It's going to be surreal. She's, in my book, she's a legend. She gave me a video of her about a week or so ago of a competition she did in 1963 in Chicago. She was the only Black. And they introduced her with a condescending tone, I'll put it that way. they didn't say nothing bad, but it was just kind of the doubt, the can you think you sure you can handle this song? And man, I mean, just watching her gracefully, and I'll share that video with you, man. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the confidence on her face. And so when you have people that you're connected to that have come through that wave,
Yeah.
you know, that wasn't a good time for people that look like me and you, but she pressed through that, and she, to me, she's a living legend, and it's going to be an honor to share the stage with her and to have her sing with me and to open my show on Juneteenth at one. I think Summerfest is the world's second largest music festival.
Man, I'm impressed. Uh, I'm impressed first of all by all the things you got coming up, but I'm equally as impressed with that you just had all this stuff in memory and you just remember what you got next. Dude, I would have my phone out. I would have to have cliff notes.
Oh, that is
I
funny.
can't remember all that stuff. You was like, oh yeah, on this day I got that. On this day I got that. I was like, wait a minute, this dude ain't looking down at no phone or nothing. I would have had to pull out the calendar, Chris.
No, man, you just kind of, when it's what you do every day,
Yeah.
just kind of remember those dates. You know, these are contracts, so I can't afford to be forgetting. You know?
No, because payback is a lot greater than
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
It is.
So I want to dive into this. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, if you love strong coffee, you need to go to strongcoffee.com. And if you use the promo code JWillPodcast, you will receive a 20% discount on all your purchases. So I want to jump into the next segment here. I want to talk about your book. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put this up. And you can see it right there in the middle. My Life, My Song. And so, how did you come into the place where you felt like you needed to write a memoir?
Well, I never came into that place. Like it. So one of the things that I do, one of the ways that I cope with life and I balance all of the many thoughts that go in my head, when they show up, I'll just write them down in my phone in the notes section.
Yeah.
And I found myself writing every day. And then I looked up and I realized that I had, man, 50, 60 notes kind
Wow.
of around the same kind of thing. So then I took all of those out. Then I transferred them to my laptop, put them in a Word document. I got 12 pages worth
Wow.
of stuff that I've written. And so I just kept writing. And I looked up at one point, it was enough for a book. And then I decided, hey, let's just make this into a book. So then I sat down with an editor, got some notes, because then I started putting titles to the chapters and kind of formatting it into what I thought it would look like. And then, I shifted from that to, I'm just going to take some of the songs that I've written and I am going to tell the inspiration behind those songs. And so that's how I came up with the title, My Life, My Song. So in this book, it's 18 of my songs, but it's a period piece because it tells the time, it timestamps certain points of my life. So
Wow.
my first song that we talked about earlier, I talked about another song I wrote, Jesus, I Love You, and another song I wrote called Sweet Vancouver. But in the context behind that song, Sweet Vancouver, I actually went to Vancouver, Canada.
Wow.
But that was the first time I really experienced God, right? Now, Sweet Vancouver is not about God, but that trip is when I experienced God for the first time. And I describe it in the book as experiencing something God-sized. I'll never forget when I got off the plane and my homie Willie we was driving back up to Oak Harbor. And I looked over to my right and there was Mount Rainier. I'd never seen anything in person that big. I mean, it was massive. And so when when you got something like that, it made me realize this is God sized. Man didn't do this. And so for me, that that Sweet Vancouver excerpt is massive, man. And that trip opened my eyes to the world much bigger than what I had experienced thus far in my life.
So you said something that I didn't know. You wrote Jesus, I Love You?
Yeah.
Jesus, I love you.
Not that one. It was
Oh, okay.
Jesus, I love you.
Okay. I
For
remember that.
my love grows stronger every day. That
Okay. I got you now. And I was like, I was finna get upset. I, I was finna get upset for other reasons, but we won't disclose those reasons. I'll tell you that offline.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that offline.
that wasn't
So
right.
when you got up when you figured out, hey man, I got a whole bunch of stuff written down here, and I want to make sure that people understand where I'm coming from and what I've had to face in life, and those battles that I've fought have made me who I am today and groomed me for pursuing and chasing after my dreams. How did that make you feel at that moment when that happened?
Well, there are a couple things that kind of shaped my thoughts in that time. You know, you see people, they become rich and famous and they #1 albums and gold records and all of these things. And shortly after that, somebody tells their story. I said, I'm not going to wait for somebody to tell my story. I may never get famous. I may never be rich and sell out big stadiums and do all of these things. But I always felt like the things that I've experienced, they will be an inspiration to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so when I compiled all of this stuff, the first thing I had to do was give myself permission to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I had to give myself permission because I'm not that guy, you know. And you'll find out in the book. And I did a survey for the book, my own customer discovery, and I had people who know me. They said, "Man, I never knew you felt like that. I never knew that those things bothered you. I never knew that." And I said, "You weren't supposed to, because the way I'm built, I'll cry in the car, but you ain't gonna see me cry."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when it came to this book, I had to give Chris Crain, it's okay, because you're not weak, you're not this, you're not less than. Matter of fact, you know, a lot of people say I sway on the side of arrogance a little bit, and I've always maintained a healthy dose of confidence, even
Mm-hmm.
in the times when my self-esteem was low.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my self-esteem was low because of this, but I was confident that I can beat your behind if you cross that line. So I knew what I can do in every situation.
Right.
But I had to give myself the permission to be vulnerable, and to be vulnerable in front of people, to be vulnerable in public. And, you know, that was a hard thing to do for me.
How did you get to that point though? Because, you know, so ladies and gentlemen, I might as well just go ahead and tell you, Chris and I are biological brothers.
Yes.
Okay. And so, if y'all hadn't figured it out by now, but we're biological brothers. We grew up in the same house. We ate the same food. We got the same whoopings by the same people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Grew up in the same community. So, I knew. So I was there when Chris was, you know, when they brought Chris home from the hospital. And you know, he was born with brachial plexus, and I always felt like I need a moment.
I knew it. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen.
Hey man, I need a moment. But when they brought you home, I felt like that I needed to be your protector because you're my baby brother. And so watching you grow up, I always felt like I needed to protect you, but I also felt like that I needed to take a step back so that you can grow because I knew that if I gave you too much protection, you would rely on me and not rely on your own skills and integrity.
Yeah.
And so, but there was a lot of times when, when you was growing up and I would hear kids, they used to call you Hook.
Yeah.
Growing up. Man,
Well, Hook came in high school.
They used to burn me up though. Like, I can't tell you how many people I almost punched in the face. For that really upset me. But going through those challenges in life, I think it made you a better person and made you a better man, but it also helped you reach your full growth capacity as an artist, as a track star. Yeah, Chris was fast, y'all. Y'all don't, as a football player, he played football, nobody could catch him. It was crazy, man, to see you run down the field. But I think all those things help build you and mold you. And I don't think it was arrogance. I think that you had to have a certain chip on your shoulder, or else you would fail as a human. You've never felt sorry for yourself, but you've always persevered and endured. And I want to commend you for that. I don't know if I've ever told you that before, but I want to commend you for that, for just the tenacity and your willingness to just keep punching.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, all right. I had my tear moment. I almost cried, y'all.
Oh, I knew it was coming. But, in the book, I talk about those things. And by the time we got around to the nickname Hook, it had already become a term of endearment.
Yeah.
And sometimes we take those negative, what others would call negative, and that's my nickname. I was Hook. But before that, the kids, they would call me all kind of stuff, man. But one of the reasons why I fought all the time, because I knew I could win.
Yeah.
And so you could talk about me, you can do what you want to do, but just know I was coming for your face.
Yeah.
And, and even if I lost, it just wasn't, I wouldn't, and you helped groom me. My pops, I remember one time, Pop, we was in Chicago, and me and Sir, you remember Sir?
Uh-huh.
We was in, what projects we was in? These kids, there was about 5 boys. What's her name? Ain't Hattie?
Yeah, that was Big Daddy's sister.
So we was over in these projects, and I'll never forget it. And me and Sir was together. We was running around playing, and these boys wanted to jump on Sir, and Sir ran off and left me. And I'm fighting 5 kids by myself. And I'll never forget it, when we got done fighting, came in, and I'll never forget, Daddy took me back outside and made me fight all of those kids again.
Really?
And I'll never forget that. And he was on Sir's head because Sir ran off and left me. But so I didn't come up in a house, where we running from people, and
no,
we, not taking it head on. Even if you get whooped, even if you lose, you stand up tall and you face it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my mentality. And it still is. At this point, I ain't fighting nobody. God, please don't let me have to fight nobody. Nobody, at this age. But with life, you run into obstacles. And my dad used to always say, it's just something to do. You find a way to figure it out. And that's been my motto for a long time. And, growing up with brachial plexus palsy. Also in the book, I talk about how I thought I was the only one. And in Lumberton, I was.
Yeah.
You know, there was nobody else with an arm like mine. I had never seen, matter of fact, I was an adult the first time I saw somebody else with an arm like mine.
Really?
And yeah, and what's crazy now, and I can recognize it from way across the room. And there have been times where I would see people with the same condition, and I would walk up to them.
Yeah.
And I would say, I'll never forget one time I told this lady, I said, "You got brachioplexus palsy, don't you?" She looked at me. She's like, "How you know?" I said, "'Cause I got it too. You know, we special, that kind of thing." And you know, so just being a part of a community. I never forget I was doing a fundraiser for my foundation, and this was 2016. And I posted on Facebook the flyer and that I was raising awareness about brachial plexus palsy. And this lady from St. Louis reached out to me on Facebook and asked me about my event. And she's a part of an organization where they support brachial plexus palsy. And so they do conferences every year, and people from everywhere, kids, adults alike, they show up and they have therapy sessions. They have all of these things. And they flew me in to a little town in West Virginia to speak and to do a concert.
Wow.
And I'll never forget it. I did the concert, and I was on stage. I was playing, and I heard a trumpet. Heard this trumpet, and I stopped singing. I was singing a song called "Just Me," and I stopped singing. I said, "Man, who is playing the trumpet during my concert?" And it was this kid. His name is Noah Allen. Noah was playing the trumpet, and so I said, "Man, come up here, come up here." And so I brought him up, and I started playing the song. And I said, "Play your trumpet." Now he got the same injury of the same arm. I mean, look the same exact way, right? Noah starts to play, killing. Still got the videos from it. We talk and we keep in touch. I keep in touch with his dad. We lose touch. The church that I'm working at, there's a kid named Cameron Spann. He was headed to Berkeley in Boston, drummer, musician. He gets to Boston, he meets this guy. And I see on his Instagram that he posted a video of this kid named Noah Allen. I said, "Ain't no way."
Wow.
Ain't no way. And Noah is at Berkeley. And Noah is killing the scene, playing trumpet in Boston.
Wow.
And Cameron was here back in Milwaukee last year. We were in the studio together doing some stuff. And I said, "Man, call Noah," because I didn't have Noah's phone number. And he called Noah. And it's just amazing how the world is so small.
Yeah.
And I remember 12-year-old Noah Allen. Now Noah is 20, 21, 22, and just killing, man, on the trumpet.
That's incredible.
Man. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with this story. I kind of got lost in it.
No, it's a good story because it just shows you how big the community is with people with brachioplegia.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But it also demonstrates that there's no boundaries and limits because, you don't have the use of two good arms like most people, but it hasn't stopped you. You know what I'm saying? You still can do. I've seen you do stuff that I'm like, how in the world is he doing this?
Yeah, well, it ain't supposed to stop you.
There's no limits.
Yeah, so, and I tell you, I say this too, big dog. I'm really hard on keyboard players.
Yeah.
Because if I'm outplaying you, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it ain't fair, but no, it is fair. You have 10 good fingers. Use them junkers.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons I keep practicing.
Oh
I
man.
don't want you to ever say, "Hey, Big B, you slacking." Like, nah.
Oh
But
man.
in your I was reading your preface, and it says, "A man who turned pain into purpose,
Yeah.
obstacles and opportunities." What is? Just give me a little bit more on what that actually means to you.
Well, for me, pain and the purpose. I heard a preacher say one time that everything you go through, it ain't always for you.
Ah,
And it's for you to experience, but it's for the next person who you're going to encounter, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 20 years down the road. That experience is really for them. And I believe that. And so the things that I've gone through, it ain't necessarily just about my arm, but it's about how I've been able to, and how I continue to push through mentally when the odds are against me. Every time I step out, the odds are against me.
yeah,
And so how do I prepare myself? So I've learned and I taught myself how not to feel sorry for myself. But you take what you got and you create what you want to.
yeah,
And don't allow somebody else to tell you or to keep you from being what you can be or what you want to be. It's not up to them. It's up to me. What I'm going to do, what I'm going to allow. If I'm gonna grow, if I'm gonna kill, then I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna put in the work. So that means I get up at 3 o'clock and I practice and
yeah,
I find ways to sound just as full as everybody else. Now, even though I'll be lying if I say I've never prayed to God and asked for a different situation. And I
yeah,
never, and I'll be lying if I say I never asked God why me? When this sucker over here just is lazy, he won't work, he won't, man, just switch our arms out. We'll be all right. He
yeah,
ain't
yeah,
doing nothing anyway. So I've thought those thoughts, man, but and sometimes it's painful.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes it's the embarrassment alone, right? So I had to learn how to, and I talk about this in the book, how it was one thing for people to say some things for kids, but when you get it's the adults, and then you get the stares. You know what I mean? People just staring at you like you some kind of animal or monster or something. Those things you have to learn how to keep your head up and walk high anyway.
yeah,
You know, and so, but I went through that, and I've gone through that, and I learned I became anyway. So now when I talk to other people, this is getting to that purpose part. When I'm mentoring and I'm creating opportunities for younger people to come and learn some of the things that I've learned and I'm teaching them, I can that's where the purpose come in. Because now I went through it so that I can teach them how to identify it and how to deal with it before it becomes a thing.
man, that's
You
rich.
know?
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in, we're talking about Chris Crane's new publication that's getting ready to come out soon. My Life, My Song. My Life, My Song. You're going to want to get this. It's got some pretty interesting stuff in there. And it's amazing to me. Now, maybe, I don't know if you knew this or not, but when you were growing up, I used to, I used to pray to God and ask God to switch places with me and you.
Wow.
I used to do that all the time. And for a long time, um, ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in, if you have comments, type them in the comment sections. If you have questions for Chris, um, type those in. And I'm only going to ask appropriate questions now. If you ask something crazy now, I ain't asking that stuff. But do want to give you an opportunity to ask questions, especially if you know somebody that has brachial plexus palsy. Maybe you can use this as a segue, and Chris can help your child or your loved one be able to develop some good coping mechanisms to be able to deal with this, because it's not easy being different. But he's managed to overcome adversities. But anyway, I used to pray to God, man, ask God to change places with me and you. And for a long time, I was pissed off with God. I mean, I was pissed off because he didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? But I know that I'll never forget the time when we lived on the west side of Chicago. And on Sunday evenings, we used to go to Tasha Nicole said, "Hey y'all, hey Tasha." We used to go to Pastor E.R. Allen's church, and after after many weeks of me praying that God, let me deal with this. Let me trade places with my little brother. We was at Pastor E.R. Allen's church, and you had never moved your fingers or your arm, and Mom took you down to get prayer for Pastor E.R. Allen. And when she prayed for you, I'm sitting there looking, and you moved your hand for the first time. You moved your fingers, and then you moved your arm. And after that, I was like, okay, he's going to be okay. After that, it was on and popping then. You was running around the house with drumsticks, hitting people in the head with hammers. You hit Dad in the head with a hammer. That's a story for another day. But I'm just saying, to see the whole growth span and be on the inside and seeing, what you were dealt and what you did with what you were dealt from an inside perspective, has me very grateful to just know you and come in contact with you. You're the reason why I try to do better.
Oh man, look at you.
I know. Don't you tear up now. Don't
no, I ain't gonna do no crying. I did all my crying. I was thinking when you was talking, I said, man, your prayer life must have been zero, man.
Well, I was young.
You couldn't get no prayers answered.
But no, he did answer my prayer.
Yeah, no.
Because he set you up to where, like, you do stuff that people with two good hands can't do.
Yeah, I think, and it boils down to mindset, like I said, I saw a video several years ago. They was teaching the dog how to drive a truck in Australia. And to me, yeah, they had the dog was sitting up and it was driving the truck. And for me, it becomes a matter of mindset. You can make the excuse or you can get it done. And and there's a lot come with the way I think.
Yeah.
But I outline a lot of these things in the book, man. And for me, the book, it tells a portion of my life, because I'm still getting it done. I'm still working on many, many things. The book is just one aspect, just one drop in the bucket. And I don't know if I said I wasn't going to write another thing, but before I even wrote this book, I had started writing a thing called a short. I don't know if it's going to be a kid's book or what it is, but it's just a great idea for a story, man.
Yeah.
And I think at some point I'll pick it back up. Now that I've figured out this process and I know how to do this thing now.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I can get better and write more. But I'm excited about the book. It's coming out. It's up for pre-order right now. So anybody, you can go and pre-order it. Just type in Chris Crain, Crain, My Life, My Song, The Journey. And it'll pop up as for Amazon. You can get it today for
$14.
$14.99. You can get it. And I am going to do some paperback, some hard copies. I've not done those yet. But a lot of people have been asking for one. And so I'm going to work that out and get that done. Probably start working on that probably by the end of this week to get it done for the actual release, to have some on site.
Yeah.
But June 7th, I'm doing what I'm calling the book and the concert. And the title is fitting because the actual book is made up of my songs and the stories behind those songs. And so
That's incredible.
that night is going to be an amazing night. We're going to write a song together. I have some songwriters there with me. Tasha Nicole is going to be in the building.
Yeah.
A couple other songwriters that are going to be there. And we're going to display how to use our words to path out our future.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's going to be fun.
I think so.
Yeah.
I
So,
think so.
I want to touch on this before I go to my next question. It was stated that that the memoir is a testament of hope, healing, and the unshakable power of faith, reminding us all that even our greatest challenge can become the instruments God uses to write out our stories.
Yeah.
Man, what an impactful line, man. And I know you said God dealt with you. You met God in Vancouver, man. You was, but, elaborate on this just a little bit, because somebody could be discouraged, and explain to them how, this memoir can help them as being a testament of hope and healing and unshakable power of faith, reminding us all that even our greatest challenge can become the instrument that God uses us to write out our story.
So I just want to point out that was an amazing play on words that I used. Instrument, letting everybody know that I am a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, to me, it's a matter of, my life. It spells out hope, and it spells out perseverance, and the things that I've obtained up to this point right now. I've had to go through some things, and I'm no different than anybody else. I mean, I'm Chris Crain. Now, don't get me twisted.
Right.
But I'm in reality, I'm no different from somebody else. And my issue may have been this, but your issue may be, or your issue may be that and that. And I'm just an example of, you never give up, and then you play the hand that you're dealt, and you play it to the best of your ability. And if you stay on the road, if you keep holding the road, then it can turn into those things that you want it to, and that's what that statement was really saying. Reading this, you're gonna cry, you're gonna laugh, but you're going to most of all see the life of somebody who's grown, who was dealt what a lot of people would call a bad hand. You see how that play on the words right there. Bad hand.
You're pretty good with that.
Bad hand. But he took that bad hand, and pulled out 6 in a possum.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an incredible story that is not fabricated. I've seen it. I've walked through every step, with you along this journey, and seen the transitions and seen the growth. And I want to say I'm proud of you.
Appreciate that, big dog.
I really am. I really am proud of you. Anything else you want us to know about this publication that I didn't cover?
Well, I just want people to know that it's a short read, but it's powerful. And I believe that it's going to be something that can help you make it through any phase of your life. So go out and get it. Pre-order that joint. It's on Amazon, Apple Books, and connect with me on social media. Connect with me on my website, chriscrain1music.com. Send me your questions. Send me your thoughts. I'd love to connect and talk more about this book, man. Again, I'm excited. Tell somebody about it, share it, and I'd love to know your thoughts after you read it.
So do you have an email address you want to shoot out there in case somebody may want you to come to their city and perform or talk about the book or be a keynote speaker about the book? Do you have an email address?
Yes, you can reach me at Chris Crain Chris Crain Booking at gmail.com. I was about to give my website again. But it's Chris Crain Booking at gmail.com. Remember that Crane is Crain. There's no E at the end of it. Chris Crain Booking at gmail.com.
So I guess you did the publishing for this book yourself.
Yeah, I did everything.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this whole thing is just remarkable. Maybe you're struggling trying to get your book published. Maybe you're struggling with that. You need to email Chris Crain and, use him as a consultant. Now, we all know what we do for consultants. If you need help, you want to get some consulting work done on how to publish your book that will save you some money. Talk to Mr. Chris Crain. He's living proof. He just did it. And if you look on Amazon, the book is already up and you can pre-order the book right now. It's already up there. So, man, I just appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been it is for me. It's great, to be able to. And I've been thinking about how I'm going to promote it and all of the things. But to kick this thing off with you, my big brother, somebody who I'm talking about in the book.
I'm in the book, y'all. I'm in the book.
Yeah, you're in the book. You're in the book, and to be able to do this with you, and like I said, giving myself permission to be vulnerable. It was a hard thing to do. But I had to allow myself that grace and that space. Otherwise, I would have never released it.
Yeah.
Because this is different from releasing records. I release records and I tell the stories that my songs are inspired by real events. And this book is also, and it's great that I didn't have to fabricate or create anything in this book. That's what made it so easy to actually tell the stories. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Thanks again for having me on the podcast, man. And I'm looking forward to coming back. I've already slated you down to purchase 2 tickets for the release, even though you may not make it, but that's okay. I got you.
Y'all, this is what we do, though. This is what we do. Now, our relationship, so from day one, me and Chris have always been joined at the hip.
Yep.
From the time I had him on my shoulders and fell down the steps and almost killed him, and he still came back, and he always wanted to hang around his big brother. And so whenever Chris calls, if he say, "Hey man, I need you to buy a ticket," I don't even hesitate. I just go ahead and cash out the money for the ticket, or I go and buy the ticket. But that's why he said it like that. I already got you down for 2 tickets because that's just what we do.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and I'm excited about it. There are so many other things that I have going on, the platforming, the things that I'm creating that are going to give us all a space to be able to share what we're doing, and not just on the internet and not just locally, but
Right.
I am connected to some things where we're going to be worldwide. And so it's just timing, perseverance, holding the road, as the old folks say.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited, man.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you're running out of time. If you have any questions you want to ask, shoot them in the chat box real quick and I can ask those. But in the meantime, if you love strong coffee, I need you to go to strongcoffeecompany.com And if you use the promo code JWill Podcast, you'll receive a 20% discount on all your products. Lock in JWill Gospel Radio. You may be an inspiring artist, or you may have music out there. Shoot it to me at leewillj@gmail.com. Mastered MP3 photo and a short bio, and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. I don't have many questions. I had a couple people just say, hey, but they ain't really asking any questions. Maybe they're going to shoot you an email or something. But Chris, I ain't going to keep you any longer. I know you got a lot on your plate. I just appreciate you spending this time with me, talking about this publication and, your music. But I'm really excited about this publication, and the cover art looks amazing. Let me put that back up again. Look at that, man. And you designed the cover art yourself as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
See, ladies and gentlemen, if you need consulting work done, I'm telling you, this is some great stuff. Look, I'm trying to be your agent.
I see it.
This is some good stuff. Look at the graphic detail on here, and it was strategically put together, because he sent me a couple copies of what the cover was going to look like, and it was kind of trickery what he said. You know what I'm saying? But it looks great. You're going to want to get this, and you're going to want to give this to somebody. Buy it for them as a gift. It's going to be something there to heal your soul, to make you think about what your dispositions are, and you can turn your disposition into a fixed position, and we can make this thing pop. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't wait till you get sick to go to the doctor. Get yourself checked out, A1C, blood pressure, cholesterol, and all that good stuff, and get some life insurance. I know y'all love chicken dinners, but we tired of trying to sell them to pay for your funeral because you were negligent. If you don't know some people, I know some people that can help you out with some life insurance. All right, until the next time, may the Lord God bless and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you, and may the Lord God give you peace. Don't hang up just yet, Chris. But this is J. Will, Mr. Chris Crain. We're out of here. Let's go.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. For more information about the J. Will Podcast, email jwill@leewillj@gmail.com.